sorry, can organize still. A visual to show all the possible outcomes you guys remember what did we call all the possible outcomes yesterday? Yeah, sample space. Good. So we're showing the sample space. We're going to be listing it, naming all the possible options. So sample space. Well, we're going to make sure that we do it in an organized way. I don't know why I spaced that out so weird, but I did. Okay, and that word organized, I'm going to underline because that's kind of the big idea with tree diagrams is that we're organizing it, making sure that we're not making more work for ourselves and we're able to see it in a way that makes sense as we go. Okay, we're only going to do one example today, but the example takes up the whole page. And then we do have a couple probabilities that we'll find with it. So we're going to create a tree diagram, and then we're going to find some probabilities using that tree diagram. Okay, so we're going to talk about completing a worksheet, or sorry, completing homework. So this is our example. So when we complete homework, we're going to pretend that this is a paper assignment, which I know most of our homework's online, but just pretend it's the olden days. Okay, we're going to make 3 decisions based on as we complete our homework. Our first decision is going to be the type of paper we want to use. Okay, so the first decision is going to be, do we want it to be lined paper? Or do we want blank paper? Depending on what the homework assignment is, usually I like to use lined paper, like notebook paper, but sometimes I like to use blank paper. Like when we do our one-pagers, I always like to do my one-pagers on blank paper and then glue it into my notes. All right, our second decision is going to be, what do we write with? What are some options that you can write with on your homework? Pencil or pen? Okay, and then our third decision, I'm going to actually skip a line here and you'll see why in just a moment. Our third decision is going to branch out based on what we picked for the second decision. If I pick a pencil, what kind of pencils could I pick? A colored pencil or just a regular pencil, right? If I pick a pen, what kind of colors are most pens? Blue, black, or red. Yeah, let's do those 3. So based on what we pick, this one gets a little bit more complicated than the McDonald's problem we did earlier, because the McDonald's problem, it was just 3 decisions and it didn't matter what you picked. This time if I pick pencil, I'm not going to pick black pencil. I'm picking, for a pencil, I'm either going to use a colored pencil or a regular pencil. Okay, does that make sense? A little bit? All right, so make sure you have that written down. That's the problem that we're working with. All right, and then we're going to actually create the tree diagram. So the tree diagram, what's kind of challenging about it is the first time you make it, it's going to be more spread out. So if you're somebody who, if you want to just kind of watch as we go, or if you just want to make sure that you're kind of doing it, I feel, usually I'm not like, make sure you copy me exactly. But this one, it spreads out really fast. So you want to make sure you're using the space on your paper really wisely. Okay. So we're going to create a tree diagram in this space here. It's going to take up probably 10 to 15 lines. It's going to take up a good chunk. Okay. And we're going to start with our two decisions to make. So our first decision we make is going to either be lined paper, and I'm going to skip down a couple lines here. And then I'm going to go down here to the bottom, about the middle of the bottom there, and I'm going to write our blank paper. Okay, it's really like we're creating a web. So now with my line paper and blank paper, we do like to put those in boxes or in circles. I always draw my boxes after I write the words, otherwise my words never fit in the boxes. All right, but now we're going to branch off from the lined paper. What are our options when we have a lined paper? What's my next decision I have to make? Pencil or pen? So I'm going to have two branches, hence why it's called a tree diagram, because they branch out. We have more branches as we go. So I have pencil and pen. You're doing so good, and you just stopped. All right, for pencil, pencil breaks out into two more. What are our two for pencil? Have we decided? Good, colored pencil or a regular pencil? And pen branches out into how many options? 3. What are our options for pen? Blue, black, and red. So we want our branches to make sure that we're connecting the words. Some people, when they draw their branches, they're just random lines on their paper. You want it to like actually connect, because these are like pathways. Okay, and then that's the end of our decision making. So we're going to stop there. We don't make any more branches off the end. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with our blank paper. Now, blank paper, what's nice is now that we did this part, it looks pretty much the same. So blank paper, we're going to start off by choosing what we write with. And we want those to kind of line up in order, so our second decision goes together here. So blank paper, we have our decision between pencil and pen. If we can keep it in the same order, that's going to help, again, make it really organized. So don't switch things around if they're the same decisions. Keep them in that same order. Okay, and then pencil breaks up into colored or regular. And pen breaks up into our 3 colors, blue, black, and red. And again, if we can keep them in the same order as we wrote before, that's going to help us figure out our diagram a little bit faster. And that's kind of the point of the tree diagram, is to be able to be quick with it and to be able to organize our work. Now, some people, when they draw, if you're drawing a tree diagram by hand, drawing those boxes can get really messy, so some people don't like to draw those boxes. I just wanted to make sure you saw that because that's what it'll look like on your quick check. All right, we do need a title for, what?
Is that all?
No. Wouldn't that be nice, though? We do need to connect this. Our line paper and blank paper are connected because that's our first decision. And then our title goes off to the side here. What is this diagram about? Homework. If you want to write it sideways, you can, up the side, or you can write it over there. I'm going to write it sideways because homework. All right, we're going to do 3 more parts to this. 3 questions. So depending on how much space, I have about 5-6 lines. So you should be able to do the same amount in that amount. I write really big. Most people write smaller than me. All right, first thing we're going to do is actually find the total. What is the sample space? How many total options are there? So when we read a tree diagram, we have to start from the beginning, kind of like the trunk, and we have to go all the way to the leaves, all the way to the end. So if somebody asks me how am I doing my homework in this scenario, can I just say with a pencil? Is that good enough? No, it has to be all the way through. It's blank paper, pencil, colored pencil. Blank paper, pencil, regular. You have to go all the way to the end. You can't just stop in the middle or pick one random. So if we count from the top, I have line paper, pencil, colored. That's 1. Line paper, pencil, regular, 2. Pen, blue, 3. 4 for the black. So as we follow this visually, if you're not sure what's happening right now, look at the board, that's 5. Pencil, color, that's 6. Pencil, regular, 7. Pen, blue, that's 8. Pen, black is 9, and pen red would make 10. So our sample space is just 10 total. Okay, one way to kind of think about that is you count the leaves, because the leaves are the ending points. So if you count the boxes that don't have any branches off them, that's going to tell us our total sample space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Some people like to just do that. Other people like to go through and kind of visually follow the paths. It's your choice. All right, we're going to do 2 examples here. With our examples, I'm going to use 2 colored pencils, 3 colored pencils. So if you're going to grab out 3 colored pencils, I'm going to use yellow, blue, and green. Yellow, blue, and red. That's what I got. I know I need to organize those bins, so just use the 3 colors that you have. All right, so as we look at this, then the first one we're going to do is the probability. And now we're going to do a little bit more complex probability. We're not going to just do of one thing. We're going to do a couple. Okay, probability of lined paper and a pencil. Zoom in, sorry. I'm going to zoom in and out of this lesson a lot. All right, so probability of lined paper and pencil. So we know it's going to be out of how many? How many options total? 10. So that's going to be our bottom. Now, as we look at lined paper and pencil, there's a couple of things we need to know. First, let's figure out that lined paper. I'm going to do lined paper in blue. So if you want to do lined paper in blue, you can. And I'm just going to go up and I'm going to color where I see that lined paper in my diagram so I know where I'm looking. Lined paper is this box. So anything that branches from this box on includes lined paper. Okay. Then I'm going to pick a different color for that word pencil. I'm going to use red. And again, I'm going to go up to my tree diagram and I'm going to color in anything with that pencil red. So here's pencil, so I'm going to just color that box red. But I also have pencil down here. I have two of them. Do you need a color? All right, before we find out our amount, we need to talk about this word and, because that screwed up a couple people yesterday on the assignment. We didn't really talk about it too much. I was trying to figure out how much you guys knew before I talked about it. With that word and, I'm going to just circle it with that yellow. If you have a highlighter, you could also highlight and. If you want to go to the movies and you ask your grandma, can I go to the movies? And she says, yes, you can, but you have to do the dishes and clean your room. Is doing the dishes enough to go to the movies? No, she said you have to do the dishes and clean your room. If you just clean your room, is that good enough? No, you have to do both. Okay, so the and means they have to be paired together. They have to have both. So as I look at our options here, as we look at our options here, I need options that have both lined paper and pencil. So what's one of my options with lined paper and a pencil? Where would I start on my tree diagram? I'd go to lined paper. Yep, start at homework. Choose lined paper. Then do I need to choose pencil or pen? Have to choose pencil. How many options are there with lined paper and pencil? 2. There's a colored pencil or a regular pencil. Is there any other place on the tree diagram where I have lined paper and pencil together? No. That's the only 2. The pencil's down here, but does that have the lined paper with it? No. So that one doesn't count. So we're only looking at these ones up here for that first one. So we're going to say it's 2 out of 10. Okay, because it has to have both. All right, what is 2 out of 10? If we simplify that, what can we divide both 2 and 10 by? 2. So 2 divided by 2? 1. 10 divided by 2? 5. Good. Remember, if fractions aren't your thing, you can always use your Desmos calculator. So remember, if you type in 2 divided by 10, you hit that fraction on the side, it shows up 1/5. All right, as a decimal, we get 0.2. And then we want to make that a percent. With that one, it can be a little challenging to make a percent because sometimes we just want to skip ahead to the 2%. But what is 0.2 as a percent if we do times 100? Not quite. That's too much. It's going to be 20%. You're right to add a 0, though. All right, so if I randomly just grabbed supplies, how likely is it that I would grab both a lined paper and a pencil? Is it impossible, unlikely, even chance, certain, unlikely, likely? What was it? Unlikely, good, because it's less than 50. Yep, 0.5. All right, last one here. So if you can fit it in, should be about 2. I'm going to take about 2 lines. I'm using the very bottom 2 lines. So the last one where it takes up like the whole page. All right, probability of. Now this time we're going to actually keep the same things. We're going to say lined paper. But instead of saying and pencil, we're going to switch that word and to an or. Lined paper or pencil. Okay, I'm going to take a moment to color code that. So I'm keeping my lined paper in the same color. And my pencil in the same color, red. And then this time I'm going to circle that word or. If you want to change colors for that, if you're like, oh, if I circle them both, they're going to look like the same. To me, it's just, this is important. I'm just circling it because it shows me that that was something to look at. All right, now if you ask your grandma to go to the movies and she says, well, you need to either do the dishes or clean your room. If she uses that word or, is doing the dishes enough to go to the movies? Yeah, is cleaning your room enough to go to the movies? What if you do both? If you do both, will she be like, no, you did too much chores, you can't go to the movies? No, she'll still be happy you did both, right? So an or means that we can either do one, we can do just one, sorry, it's getting really messy down there. Just one, but it also can mean both. Okay, when we use or, it doesn't mean it has to be exactly one. It means that it could also be both. All right, so again, we're going to do our fraction. How many is it out of? 10 was our sample space. Good. All right, so now when we look at the diagram, it's going to be different. We're not going to get the same answer because of that change and or. This time I'm going to combine. So if I look at lined paper, and I look only at lined paper, I'm going to cover this up. All this lined paper is good. How many options come from the lined paper? Be lined paper, pencil colored would be 1, regular 5. Yep, good. There's 5 from lined paper, so we're going to take those 5. We're going to keep counting. Okay. Now we're going to look just at pencil. If I count these pencils, that would be counting it twice because we already counted those with the lined paper, so I don't want those again. Okay, if I count how many students are in this room, I want to only count you one time, right? Not twice. So that one I'm not going to count again, but I'm going to look and see, are there any other places where I have a pencil? Yep, right here. How many more options are there with this pencil? 2 more. So together with the lined paper and this extra pencil, how many are there all together with those? 7. So we're going to have 7 out of 10. So we add them together. Okay, 7 out of 10 in our calculator when we divide is 0.7. Again, when we only have one number there, we have to be careful with how we change that into a percent. Is that going to be 7%, 70%, or 700%? 70%, yep. And what classification would 70% have? Likely, good. It's probably going to happen that at least one of those two things happen. Doesn't have to be both, but at least one of them happens.